this weekend. We'll be watching them until they are out of contention or until they are out of top 8 contention, day 2 contention or top 8 contention. Luis Scott-Vargas, the first player we're going to be focusing on. Frontier Bivouac. Good start here for Luis, whose deck is all 5 colors.
Not surprising. This is a format that is very conducive to playing 5 colors, particularly in sealed. But Luis has a history of stretching the mana kind of no matter what.
Oh, yes. he certainly loves to do exactly that. He's got a Team Your Monument in play now, too, so he's working his way to fixing his mana. And now we have one of those Dragon Storms. Here's the black Dragon Storm from the opponent, Branson Mitchell, which deals 2 damage. And so if you can keep recurring that by playing different dragons out of your hand, it can be kind of sweet.
Yeah, Luis has one as well, in the white one, the Teeming Dragon Storm.
Yeah, I love that one.
The Monument's probably among the most important cards for this sealed format. The mana fixing is really important, and the creature that they generate is maybe a mana more expensive than you would pay for a card in your hand, but between the mana fixing and the card advantage, the Monuments are critical.
Absolutely they are, especially in sealed when you don't always open the lands that you might need to make things work. Here's Glacial Dragon Hunt from Luis Scott-Vargas. We're going to draw a card. If we discard a non-land card, we're going to do 3 to something, take care of that creature from Branson Mitchell.
And you see Luis here with a lot of lands entering the battlefield tap. The Scour Barrens here gains 1 life. This sealed format can be a bit on the slow side as a function of all the lands entering the battlefield tapped and the amount of life gain that those lands provide as well.
Oh, Carsey Revenant, the play here from Branson Mitchell. We saw this card earlier today in action. This is a 3/3 Death Touch Flying Lifelinker. Gross.
And the format, as I said, can be a little bit on the slow side, but there are a handful of cards, particularly at rare, that if your opponent's able to play on curve can really speed the game up. Black has a handful of rares, and that's one of them.
Kotus the Fangkeeper for Luis Scott-Vargas. I happen to really love this card. If it connects, you can play cards off of your at the top of your opponent's deck, which is very cool. Gets really out of control if you're able to put any kind of counters on Kotus. Here's the Carsey Revenant getting in for 3, so we're going to do a 3-point life swing here from Branson.
And even if it isn't able to connect, it's a pretty strong blocker that's going to cover basically anything on the ground. But yeah, if you can start connecting, if you start pumping it up, things can get out of control.
Branson continuing to develop the board here. I love this 2/3 dog that when it taps, you get to put a land into your hand. Put a land into your hand if you hit a land off the top. Another great way to fix your mana here in a format where that is so incredibly important. Luis, off to a bit of a slower start here on 16 to Branson Mitchell's 25 already this early in the game.
Yeah, but Luis loves to settle in. not in any sort of rush here. Plays fast, but settles in.
I love that. Ice Ridge Serpent here for Luis is going to bounce the dog back to Branson's hand.
And now this attack here from Kotus is going to put Branson to the test here.
What do you do? Kotus is indestructible. Looking at the top 2 here for Luis. No hit. Back over to Branson Mitchell on 23. Mountain is the play. Carsey Revenant continuing to attack. Luis Scott-Vargas down to 13. Mitchell up to 26. Oof. All right, here we got a 5/5 elephant for Mitchell.
And another very critical part of this sealed format, the 2/5/5 staple to 1 card. When you're playing a matchup or a tenor that's a little bit on the slower side, it's often about how many 2-for-1s that you can muster. Things that impact the battlefield, like large creatures, even better.
That card is so good. I mean, you have to deal with both halves of it at some point in the game. You just can't ignore it.
Setting aside any of all the cards that care about having 4 more power, there's sideways synergies. Just getting 2 5/5s out of 1 card is already a pretty good deal, but it also unlocks some synergies on the other side here. So it's threatening in 2 different ways.
Pass back over to Luis. Tapping 3. All right, he's got a Monastery Messenger here. Nice little Jeskai card he's able to play thanks to all of his various colors of mana.
Paid it for 3. I've run into playing this thing for 4 or 5 sometimes. Luis has got it covered.
Well, absolutely. All the cards that are like this with the 2 bird mana, you can pay 4 for them and you're perfectly happy.
And Luis turn 5 has all 5 colors of mana. Everything's covered.
All right, we're going to put a counter onto the Carsey Revenant. Here from a renew ability in the graveyard from Branson Mitchell. Oh, with a trample counter as well. Champion of Doosan was the renew creature.
Yeah, I assume here with Branson wants to go on the offensive here, he's putting the counter there because that card is so good on defense that it would be an odd thing to pump if you were trying to hold back. You'd want to spread it out somewhere different. So Branson seeing a good spot to attack here. Only the one flyer. Everything else is kind of covered or innocuous. And so Branson wants to get on the offensive here while Luis is missing land drops.
Yeah, Luis Scott-Vargas down to just 9 life to Mitchell's 30 right now. So in a tough spot here in game number 1, round 3. Both of these players currently 2-0 in the tournament. Remember, you need to have a record of 6-2 or better to advance to day 2 and start drafting. And a lot of players of Luis's caliber really want to hit draft tomorrow because they've been doing a lot of prep work and know that's where their prep will really shine.
Yeah, sealed deck, it's, to some degree, you're beholden to just the quality of your pool, as we see an exhale here from Luis to deal 4 damage.
Finally, get that thing off the table. It's only gained Mitchell 10 life, probably more.
Well, also, we're only halfway done with the impact of that thing, so we'll come back to that later.
Yes. That's very true.
Luis, we were talking in between rounds, and he said that he would give his deck a 7 out of 10, nothing special.
Okay.
But when you get to draft, it's very different.
Yeah, they've been players have been hanging out in Luis's house all week long testing this format, and they feel like they've got an excellent grip on draft, so I'm very excited to see them do some work tomorrow. That was a Fanekeeper's familiar, from Branson here, but is into the yard.
Yeah, I believe that was a Dispelling Exhale.
Nice. Good use of that.
Another part of that cycle. They're all commons. They all functionally act as removal spells. This is the counterspell one.
Another Traveling Botanist for Mitchell. Monastery Messenger. Looked like it was going on the attack there for Luis.
Vigilance.
It is Vigilance. All right.
Yep.
It was 28 for Mitchell.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Luis didn't know either.
Hey, look.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's fine. The set released yesterday, all right? Calm down. Teamer Tawny Pack for Luis Scott-Vargas. I love this guy. 4/3, draw a card, discard. 3 mana if you can swing it.
A very important card in Sealed, maybe a little bit less in Draft, but so much about these games is just sort of managing your mana, making sure that you hit your land drops without flooding out. And so effects that loot typically overperform in Sealed. Usually you're paying a cost in whatever the body is, but a 4/3 for 3 is on curve.
And he also got some value there, putting a Karu Goldkeeper into the graveyard, which has a renewability as well. It's kind of like you have a second hand if you're able to build your Sultai deck in the way that it was meant to be built.
And in Sealed, that stuff is going to come up incidentally no matter what. Even if you're not really a Sultai deck, if what Luis is doing is pretty common, it's 5 colors and all the mana fixing and all the good stuff, you're going to incidentally end up with some of that stuff anyway. So even if you aren't a dedicated Sultai deck, your deck is likely to have 1 or 2 instances of that keyword.
Here's an attack with the elephant from Branson, and Luis lines up the team quadruple block. What do you got?
Yeah, eventually you get to a point when you're double blocking and you're like, well, if they have a removal spell, it's bad. Then you put a third thing in there and it's like, well, they have a removal spell and a pump spell, that's bad. You put everything in front, they're very likely to play anything into it, so just move on with things.
Hey, it came out okay there for Luis. Just bird down. All right, we're going to harmonize using our Traveling Botanist. There, make another 5/5. That dog is good.
Yeah. I can already tell you're a much better singer than I am. My dog barks at me when I sing.
Well, we've just got to do a little bit more.
Okay.
Practice. Oh, nice. All right, so we're putting 2 counters here on Kodos the Fanekeeper. So now if we connect, we get to look at 4.
Yeah. So still can't cast it because you still got to be we are casting. But we can only cast 4s or less. Yeah.
Yes. So, oh my God, we hit 2 things here for Luis. Another Teamer Tawny back in an Obzon Monument. That's so sick.
Got a little chuckle out of the table spotter.
Oh, did it? He's like, luck, skill, and victory. Luck is the first of those 3 for Luis here.
I don't know. Looking at 4-4, you got a lot of looks at it.
That's true. That's
hard to miss.
Good point. Back over to Branson, and Luis has really turned this game around from a position that did not look advantageous to him. But like you said, he just had to settle on in.
But also look at the mana here on Branson's side. This looks like a pretty significant disadvantage in the matchup just because Luis's fixing is so much better.
That's a great point, yeah.
Luis has the 2 orbs on top of all the dual lands, and so even maybe missing some land drops or not coming out that smoothly, once Luis finds land number 6, mana number 7, everything's going to play very smoothly from here. There's a chance here that Branson's not been able to play very efficiently just because the colored mana symbols have not lined up with the lands.
Absolutely, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles when you're playing sealed deck here. Here's a Dragonfire Blade onto Cotis. Oh, that's nice. By the way, that elephant now has Death Touch, Lifelink, and Flying.
But none of this answers Cotis. This is just indestructible, and as long as Luis keeps adding power to it, I mean, honestly, Branson's at risk of getting decked here.
Wow, check this out. 3 enormous hits from Luis off that Cotis. And that's going to be that. Branson Mitchell scoops him on up. That's Luis Scott-Vargas getting game number 1 here in round 3.
Yeah, Branson's had enough of getting dunked on by his own cards and is happy to just move on and try again in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
You can tell, if you just saw in the lower left-hand corner there, Luis's reaction, got a little giggle there at the end.
Yeah.
Luis has won a lot of matches in his day and over the course of his illustrious career. But every once in a while, he has a win that's so delectable for him that you get a little chuckle at the end.
Hey, that was a good win. Well-deserved chuckle there from Luis. Branson Mitchell's like, can I stop hitting myself, please, with these cards? Okay, let's take a look at some upcoming events, everybody. This is your hometown. What about my hometown? SCG Con Minneapolis coming up May 2nd through the 4th. It's a regional championship there. You can check it out at starcitygames.com/SCGCon. So coming up here pretty soon. My friends in Minneapolis, hope to see you there.
And as someone who recently competed in the SCG Regional Championship in Portland, if you do qualify for this event, my recommendation would be to test at least one match. It would be very useful. Coming in cold, not knowing what the cards did, that set me back.
Rough. That was rough.
Set me back a little bit. I'm not saying I would have won the thing, but if you do qualify, if you're going to bother to show up to the thing, play a few rounds ahead of time. You have some friends, you hop onto Arena, you have some resources out there. Don't be reading staple cards of the format during your feature matches. It does not look good. It doesn't feel good.
Wait, were you really?
Oh, yeah. Round one I played against Boros Energy, and it's like I mostly knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And most of their stuff is on the main phase. Like, you have some time to catch up. But they played that Ghost Vacuum, and
oh yeah,
I was every turn was a new mystery revealed to me. So,
wow, that's exciting. If nothing else.
Oh yeah, learning as you go is kind of sweet. But if you're gonna get on a plane, you're gonna qualify, get a couple rounds under your belt ahead of time. This is not meant to be financial advice, but I would encourage it. Life advice.
Format is standard in Minneapolis, by the way. It's a $100,000 prize pool. You get Pro Tour invites. There's Worlds invites on the line. Live coverage as well on Twitch and YouTube. So check it out May 2nd through 4th, SCG Con in Minneapolis. I will try and stop by because that sounds awesome.
And I do love regionals, do love big constructed events, but there is something so soothing about a big Linen event.
Oh,
no one's asking for cards. You just show up. There's no, posts on Twitter the night before.
I need 4 of this.
Yeah, I need $1,200 worth of cards. Do any strangers I know have them that would borrow? You don't have to worry about it.
No, and
so relaxing.
That's why I think it's limited is such a wonderful entry point for people who are learning Magic as well, because you don't got to show up with a deck or anything. You just sit down, crack open 6 packs, and make the best with what you got.
And just enjoy the nuts and bolts of the game.
Yes.
It's a lot of attacking and blocking. And Luis did a quadruple block on a vanilla creature the last game just because I don't really know what's going on over there. So let's just be safe.
And it was beautiful.
You don't see a lot of that in Constructed.
All right, here we go. We are off to the races in game number 2. Obzon Monument kicking things off for Branson Mitchell. Luis is going to start at 21. here with a gain land, a tap land, which gains him a life. And you said earlier this weekend, you're like, most of these games you start at 24.
Yeah, you have a lot of cushion. It's still reasonable to want to take the play because getting leverage inside of combat, being on the front foot is still valuable for the purposes of board presence. But it's really rare to just get run out of a game.
Yeah.
Assuming that you are making your land drops, and the common lands are a big part of that.
All right, we were able to cancel a spell there from Branson Mitchell. So no creatures stuck on the board there. That was a Champion of Doosan. Has 3 total in his main deck.
Yeah, that's the other counter that Luis has access to. I believe that's the Spectral Denial. Yeah.
All right, and there's a Spelling Exhale to take care of that Dragon Storm from Branson, which seems critical to him because he doesn't have a lot of dual lands in his deck. Luis's favorite card in the format, I'm going to call it, there it is, Dragonstorm Globe.
I think his favorite cards are actually the modest counters lining up the right way.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. In this moment specifically.
Beautiful.
Counter spells, not always good in every limited format, but I've got to say, so far this weekend, both of these cards, Dispelling Exhale and the other counter he played, are overperforming.
There's a couple things going on there. One is just the games are a lot about 5 and 6 mana cards, and counter spells are going to be good there. And also, people are not necessarily playing their cards on time.
Yeah.
Because the lands enter the battlefield tapped, because you don't always have all of your mana fixed right away. Those cards have a longer window to be relevant than in some faster formats where it's your sealed deck's 2 colors and all the lands are coming into play untapped.
Glacial Dragon Hunt taking care of that creature from Branson Mitchell there. 22-20 in favor of LSV. In for some more damage. Down to 20.
Subtle thing going on here. I'm curious if I'm sure Luis has picked up on it. Your opponent started on Swamp Island and played an Abzan Monument. Did not get a Plains.
Yes.
And now has played a bunch of lands and still has not played the Plains. Luis might be playing as though there's no white in the deck and that monument can't be activated.
Sure, yeah. That seems like a safe bet there.
Oh, we got a little Sultai Mrs. Snake action going on there.
Oh, yes, we had our Temur Tani back countered. That snake is really excellent. That's Fanekeeper's Familiar. It's a 3/3, and it has a bunch of different options that you can choose when it hits the battlefield. Huge attack here from Branson Mitchell. Luis down to 12. He does have tools in his deck to come back from this kind of deficit, though. We saw it last game.
I mean, the way the board is set up right now, obviously Branson can have cards in hand that complicates things. But even a large creature would kind of put the brakes on. Luis has enough of a cushion life total-wise that if he can just deploy something large, that could stabilize here.
All right, he's got the Blizzard. So we're giving these creatures -3 mana. So draw some cards. I love it. Luis seems to always smile after he casts that card.
It's very much his language.
Yeah.
So a player like me, I want to wreck someone in combat with that thing. Luis just playing Fog, draw 3 cards, could not be happier right now.
Codis back into play for Scott-Vargas. Ooh, Skirmish Rhino. Siege Rhino's baby cousin.
And so now Luis is sort of stabilizing the battlefield a little bit, has a little bit more life to play with. So the burn on Branson here is either to find something with flying or is otherwise evasive, or have some removal because combat's going to become very arduous for him very soon.
Carsey Revenant, there you go. Just like you said, there's a flyer. Card did a lot of work in game number 1. Flying Death Touch Lifelink. And gives those abilities to somebody else after you renew it from the graveyard. So once again, the question back to Luis. Can you answer this?
And the way that Branson's constructed his deck is very nice as far as the Revenant goes. The issue with this card, I mean, it's a fantastic card, don't get me wrong, but having double black on turn 3 with 3 untapped lands, not an easy thing to do. Imagine you have Luis's deck. That's not going to occur very often. Branson, with a lot of plains and a lot of swamps and a lot of basics, can actually play this on time.
Nice. Stormplane Detainment is going to take care of that Revenant as well and exile it so it can't come back from the graveyard with its counters.
Yeah, we have essentially an Oblivion Ring here. Tired and true staple of Sealed.
Oh, yes.
Of course Luis would have that thing. The grindhouse.
Okay, so he's giving the Dragonfire Blade to Codis and attacking. What are you going to do?
The Quarry Mountain Monastery.
Quarry Mountain Monastery. Yes, these lands for the various guilds are almost, with the exception of the blue land, I would say, really powerful and really nice if you can get one into your deck. Great for the late game.
I mean, even the blue one would be kind of nice against Luis.
That's true.
So certainly the weakest of the 5 in this setting.
Oh, the turtle!
Oh, yeah.
Here's Monastery Messenger, and we're going to put that Bewildering Blizzard back on top, baby.
and a little chuckle from Luis settling in.
Oh, my God. This is too good.
Just fantasizing about what the next turn is going to look like.
Ooh, when I give all those creatures -3, -0 and draw some cards again.
Or just sit with it in my hand. Just look at it.
Yeah.
Even that's good.
Okay, we're going to put a counter here on to Alchemist's Assistant. Does have lifelink, double block from Luis. And it's going to be Alesha's Legacy.
And Luis is willing to kind of risk it there because any commitment of mana, resources, attackers makes it much more likely that his legend here on the way back is going to be much more effective. Because you're either chump blocking or allowing the hit to happen. So even though that block looks bad, I think Luis is just kind of saying any exchange that happens inside of this combat is pretty trivial in the scheme of things as long as this ball keeps rolling.
Very good point. Back over to Luis. We'll see what he does here first in his turn. Every color of mana under the sun here that he could possibly want.
Just deciding if he wants to spin his tires with the Mountain Monastery first or if he actually needs all 10 mana to do what's already in his hand. Also, how you tap really matters when you're revealing blind. A lot of things to think about.
All right, we've got the Ambling Storm Shell here from Luis. Great little turtle friend.
One of my favorite designs in the set.
Oh, I love it. It's so turtly.
It's very whimsical,
Yeah.
but also threatening.
Do you remember what was it, like a 5/7 turtle that no, it was more than that. When it attacked, it like exiled itself for a few turns and then came back.
Oh, I do remember the card. I don't have the name. It's going to kill me. But I know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry. But I love that too because hey man, it's turtle flavored. Turtle flavored.
And it's just another slow ancestral for Luis.
Yep.
Scratching multiple itches here.
Oh, so gross. There's a Sultai Devotee for Branson. The Devotee's very, very important in this format. Meandering Tower Shell. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Another big attack from Luis here. We've got the Botanist coming on in, reveal the land, into the hand it goes. Good doggy. And then we're going to draw 3 cards, and the turtle is going to take a little nap. That was hard work.
You might not be able to see it, but this is Luis in his mind palace right now.
I'm serious.
Just so happy. Look at all my stuff. I haven't even got to do all my stuff.
And there is Branson Mitchell extending the hand. Luis Scott-Vargas 2 games to 0 here in round 3. Advances to 3-0 undefeated.